We always expect more. Now let's talk about. I read yesterday that your government, the president,
Mm-hmm.
um, His Excellency Mr. Masisi,
Yeah.
was having a big problem with his cabinet because he described them as xenophobic, especially towards Zimbabweans.
Mm-hmm.
Africa is busy, or a good number of Africans, especially in leadership position, they are advocating for one Africa, a borderless Africa.
Yeah.
Good morning, Africa. We are talking today live from Gaborone in Botswana. And as you know, we go around Africa talking to great minds. We talk to business people, different businesses, entrepreneurs, but also talk to people that have different talents, trying to understand what their businesses are made of, what kind of challenges they face, and also to try and check if these businesses need support from investors or even from mentors. Today, we are speaking with an acquaintance in Gaborone, and we would like him to introduce himself to Africa. Could you please tell Africa who you are and what you do?
Okay, my name is Morafe. I grew up in Gaborone. I was born in Gaborone.
Okay?
I did all of my education actually in Gaborone.
Yeah,
Then I lived abroad for a couple of years, not for a very long time. Then I came back.
yeah.
Then I started working as a teacher. Started working as a teacher now. Then I went to different places.
Okay.
So I'm basically a teacher by profession.
You're a teacher by profession.
Yes.
We are actually cut from the same cloth.
Okay.
But Mr. Morafe,
Yes.
thank you so much for being part of this program.
Pleasure.
We always look forward to talking to new African, new people in the continent,
Yes.
people with diverse views, people that can make the channel better. You know.
Okay.
So tell us about Gaborone. What is one thing that Africans don't know about Gaborone that you can tell Africans?
Gaborone is a very, very laid back place, I
Okay,
think. Um, People are very, very calm.
okay,
It's a very, very slow place. It's not like in other countries that are very, very
okay,
fast paced. It's a very, very slow place. So I think that's what I can pick from Gaborone. That is it's frustrating for foreigners because when they come here, sometimes they want things to move very, very fast,
okay.
but we move very, very slow. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
That has not been my experience, though.
Okay.
Yes, when you come from a very busy city,
Mm-hmm.
you can you can see it to be a little bit slow, but
Okay.
generally my reaction has not been one of or I haven't interacted with people that are too laid back the way you
Mm.
describe it.
Yeah.
um, in what areas would you say the things are slow in Gaborone, and what are you comparing it to?
I'm comparing it to Asia, where the pace was very, very fast.
Okay,
Let's talk about a simple situation of looking for a job.
okay,
You could meet someone and get a job a few seconds later.
okay,
So um, things move faster
yeah,
in other places as opposed to here. You have to be very, very patient. I have come to realize if you
okay,
really want your things to move,
yeah,
whether it's a project, whether it's getting approval from different institutions to get finances to kickstart your company or what have you. You have to be very, very patient.
okay,
As opposed to places like Asia, places like China, where things move super, 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 super fast.
okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
I would have thought you would compare it to other countries in Africa. So I think it's not very fair. That
Yeah,
is, in my opinion,
yeah.
to compare it. I mean, I've traveled to a few African countries, and I think that um, Botswana is doing quite well,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Mm.
And I would only compare Botswana with another African country at
I
this point
think,
in time.
yeah, I think my opinion is coming from the fact that when it's from a very patriotic point of view.
Yeah,
You really want things to function in a certain way, and you
yeah,
want things um, to be at par with what the best are doing out there. You
yeah,
want the pace of life to be a bit faster, things to move faster.
yeah.
And you can imagine we're a population that's quite young and we have a lot of energy. So when things are slow, it sort of sets a tone
Okay.
that's very negative
Yeah.
and it's very discouraging. So maybe that's why I'm comparing
Yes.
it to the very best.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I haven't been to many African countries. I've been through Zambia, I've been through Tanzania, I've been through South Africa. I've been to Zanzibar just for a brief spell.
Yeah.
So I can't really say anything concrete about those countries.
I
I've
see.
I've been through them, but I
Yeah.
have not experienced them.
I see.
Maybe that's why I'm comparing it to a place that I've been to.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, Botswana is doing very well. It's just that we want more. We
Yeah.
want you.
Well, we always expect more.
Mm,
Now let's talk about one topic that is actually very popular in Africa now, which is the idea of xenophobia.
yeah.
I read yesterday that your government, the president,
Hmm.
um, His Excellency Mr. Masisi,
Yeah.
was having a big problem with his cabinet because he described them as xenophobic, especially towards Zimbabweans.
Hmm.
Africa is busy, or a good number of Africans, especially in leadership position, they are advocating for one Africa, a borderless Africa.
Yeah.
Um, and my short stay in Botswana leads me to conclude that the people in Botswana are very open to foreigners, especially African
Yeah.
foreigners.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah, what is your opinion around that?
I don't think the ministers were xenophobic. I think they were a bit worried about how the president's idea was going to play out in real life.
Yeah,
And you can imagine Botswana has this very small population, and
yeah,
if we're not careful and we allow other nations to come in and sort of overwhelm us, that might cause a few challenges here and there.
that's right.
So I think when the ministers expressed their opinions, they were mainly trying to bring to the president's attention caution that
Yeah,
okay, we're open to people from other parts of the country, other parts of the continent. I'm sorry,
yeah,
but we have to be very careful and we have to do it in such a way that it benefits both parties. It benefits
absolutely,
the foreigner.
absolutely.
Generally speaking, Botswana are not xenophobic.
Yes, I can attest to
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
because I think, like I'd said, we don't have we have not inherited a history
yes,
of hostility, a
right,
history of having to fight to to prove your legitimacy
correct,
as a black person or as an
right,
African. So we don't have that baggage.
correct.
So
You guys are just you.
yes, we
Yes,
don't have a reason to hate anyone because or to be against anyone or to be apprehensive
yeah,
when we're dealing with other people because we don't have that baggage.
correct.
Yeah, but still we have to be careful. I
Yeah,
don't think the ministers are xenophobic. They just
they're just being. I mean, caution is something that needs to be applied in a
yes,
situation
yes,
like this.
yes.
I saw also in the news that the Namibians were also Namibia and Botswana have actually finally concluded the agreement where
Yeah.
Namibians can just come to Botswana just with an ID
Mm,
and vice versa.
mm.
So yeah, like I said, when if caution is applied, then those things can actually work to the advantage of both countries.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at another a big question, the question of LGBTQ.
Okay.
This is an idea that is frowned upon in a lot of
African
African
countries.
countries. Yeah. What is the situation in Botswana?
I think it's still for the most part it's still frowned upon because
Okay.
it's something new
Yes.
and people are raising different arguments
Yeah.
for or against. The
Correct.
people who are against it, uh, I think it's mostly because they're more interested in the normal setup, the
Correct.
normal way of
The
doing
traditional,
the traditional. Not it's not. Let me not say normal. The conventional
the
way of doing
conventional. Yes, I was
way
also
of
looking
doing this.
looking for that
Yes,
word. Yeah.
and comfort is very comfortable. I mean, being in a comfort zone. So I think people LGBT is it's moving people out of their comfort zone because
Right.
it's bringing into the debate questions of expression.
Yeah.
You know, is it is it legitimate or is it okay for
Yeah.
people to express themselves sexually in whichever way that they want?
Yeah.
Yeah. But as it stands, it's still a very difficult topic in Botswana.
Okay.
Um, some people even have been assaulted
That
because
that was going to be my
mm,
next
mm,
question. If you guys have had any recorded incidences
yeah,
of violence
yeah,
where people that are expressing themselves in that community get attacked and
they do get attacked. There was an incident of a local celebrity who was stabbed many times.
okay,
It was a hate crime, but luckily he survived. So we do have situations like that.
okay,
Of violence towards people who think differently from or who want to do things differently from other from the norm from the convention.
yes,
But generally speaking, because Botswana are not violent
correct,
people, it does also play out in when they are dealing with this issue.
yeah.
um,
Has there been any intervention from the part of the government or
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. The government is not ignorant of what's happening
okay,
in society.
yeah,
They know they're conscious and they're aware that people who want to live who want to take this path
yeah,
and as citizens of the country they also have to be protected.
yes,
They also have to be informed on the risks of of reckless sexual behavior,
yeah,
for instance. So in hospital, for instance, there are sections which cater for the LGBT. Even the police, there's a section. For instance, if I'm in a same-sex relationship and there happens to be uh, violence, I
yes,
can go to the police and report my case. Nowadays, the situation is getting better because I can go to the police, complain, and I will be assisted appropriately. Even at
okay,
clinics, I can go present my case to a nurse
yeah,
and get the assistance I need.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so the government is protecting its people,
Yes,
whether it agrees with them or doesn't agree with them,
yes,
takes
but it
care of
has
its
that
people.
responsibility
That
to
responsibility because it's those are your children.
yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
so you have to take care of
And
it.
you
Doesn't make
have been
sense.
given that that mandate, excuse me, to
Yeah.
take care of them.
And the people and some of the people whose opinions you do not agree with are people who actually voted you into
That's correct.
office.
That's correct.
So I think yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. But I
Yeah,
think in the future, I think uh, there'll be more freedom
correct. Yeah,
for
uh,
people to express themselves.
like you
Mm,
said, people are comfortable with what they used to.
yeah.
So everyone or a lot of people are very comfortable with the conventional way.
Mm,
And now when something new pops up,
Mm.
there is bound to be that resistance
That
from, yeah, and
resistance.
sometimes this resistance could be violent, sometimes it could be peaceful.
And you can imagine also even traditionally, traditionally homosexuality is it's not a it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
very,
right.
very bad
Right.
thing. It's an abomination.
Yes,
It's all
yes,
the ugly things that you
yeah,
can think about. So I think because we're coming from that phase,
yes,
from uh, uh, we're still grappling with the topic. But I
correct.
think in the future, the way I'm seeing things moving,
Hmm.
um, the way children behave and
Yeah.
the younger generation that's coming up and the way now before back in the days you couldn't even talk about it. We couldn't stand here and talk
Yes,
about it on
yes.
t on
It was
on
it was a taboo to
it
talk
was
about
hush.
it.
But the
Yes,
fact that you are now even talking about it,
yes.
it shows progress.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Back in the days
You couldn't. It
you
was not
could.
even allowed. It
Now
was
we're talking about it. So it
yes.
means in the next 10 years or 20 years
Yeah.
there'll be progress in that area.
No, that's wonderful. Now let's talk about you. You just mentioned that Botswana is things are kind of slow paced,
Hmm.
and you likened or compared them to places like China that are very everything is hush hush.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to talk about business in Botswana.
Hmm.
I've met a good number of business people in Botswana who are doing very well.
Yes.
And I want to give a shout out to Mr. Mahobi of the Mahobi Plaza because
Hmm.
I had a conversation with him as well.
Okay.
He's someone that looks he's there to assist young entrepreneurs in Botswana who are looking for assistance.
Yes.
So they can always reach out to him. Uh, what gaps are there in Botswana that investors that are looking to come and invest in Botswana can fill up? Because one of the objectives of this channel is to promote African entrepreneurs, is to
Hmm.
look for investors that can fund African businesses, is to find a common place where Africans can be comfortable and sell their products, especially Africans that are involved in the different means of production. So when you go around Botswana, and also owing to your experience of traveling around the world, Asia, parts of Africa, what gaps do you see that can be filled in Botswana?
I think what's the I'm not a business person,
Yes.
so my answer is going to be very, very superficial. I'm
Okay.
going to give an answer from just my impression.
Yes.
I think it goes back to this pace.
Yes.
We're very, very relaxed.
Yes.
I think it's I don't know. So it's frustrating for an international, someone coming to invest there in the
Yeah.
country who wants things to move very, very fast because they want to make money. Time is
Yes.
money.
Yeah.
I think that's what we should improve on as a nation. Doing business in a very fast manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also speed comes with the services that are available,
Yeah.
right? You cannot apply speed if you don't have certain services.
Hmm.
For example, you guys have the InDrive now, and you've got now Bolt was launched, I think, 2 days ago. And if someone was here and he wanted to go to Ntebeleng, for example, is it Matabeleng?
Yes.
Yeah, and there was no Bolt, there was no InDrive. That will make it very slow for him to be there.
Mm.
But we do have that service. So I'm trying to look at other things that you were able to access easily in China, for example, but you cannot access them here. So that investors that are listening to us, they can say, oh, okay, also these things don't exist in Botswana. Is it something we can go there and invest and actually start up? Do you have any idea of such services, of such products that investors may want to come to Botswana and start?
Oh, that's a difficult question. That required a lot of research.
Okay,
But let me think at the top of my head, what would I say? Hmm.
let's talk about delivery services where
Okay.
you can sit at home and order food. Um, besides shops
Mm-hmm.
and restaurants using their own vans or bikes to deliver food at home. Do you guys have individual applications where someone sitting at home can actually sit at home and dial an app and get food delivered?
Mm, yes, we do. KFC's doing it,
Yeah.
and other restaurants are doing it, and it was prompted by COVID.
Okay.
So we're doing it, but like I said, not everyone has access to internet, and internet sometimes can be very, very slow. It
Okay.
goes back to
Pace.
the pace. Yeah, it
Yeah.
can be very, very slow. So you can't reach, you can't do as much as you would like to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So, say for example, if I want to have Sessoir now
mhm.
at home without actually leaving the house, is that something I can go on my phone and order?
I don't think so. I have not heard of someone who delivers traditional foods.
Okay. So
Uh,
that is a gap that someone, a citizen of Botswana, can fill
yes,
because visitors come to the country every day and they are used to such services in their home countries,
yes.
and they might want to just enjoy that kind of service.
But also, I think what you're saying is it's a very good point because I think a lot of foreigners. I one of my lecturers actually complained at some point. He said, uh, "I haven't tasted traditional food in Botswana, and I have never been invited to anyone's home to have traditional food, Botswana food."
Okay.
So I think for me, when he was complaining, it said it gave me information that foreigners really really want to taste our cuisine,
Yes.
and that's one of the main things that people do when they go to a country. They want to
Yeah.
taste what we cook.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea. I think
Yeah.
we need to have uh, restaurants delivering traditional food
Correct. And
to
also
people.
services such as you want to have your laundry done. You just want to go on an app and dial someone to pick up your laundry from home,
Yeah,
you know.
but most people do that through Facebook.
I see.
Thanks to Facebook,
Okay.
people call
Okay.
people who have advertised companies, and they do.
Yeah, but that's also slow paced, right? Because when you go on Facebook, sometimes you have to, but it's the start. We
Mm,
cannot completely blame it. I'm just saying there is a gap, there is an opportunity
yeah.
that investors in Botswana can actually tap into, because I would prefer to use an app um, in place of going to Facebook, typing search,
Mm.
instead of just going and say, pick this up from here to there.
The other gap, I think that we have, that we've been struggling with, is also being able to produce our own food, being autonomous
Okay.
when it comes to being able to feed ourselves.
Can you
We
talk
we
more?
depend a lot on South Africa for imports, for food imports.
Okay.
So when there's instability or something happens in South Africa, that hits us badly.
I
So
see.
I think if we can teach this each our the coming generation, or even the citizens in general, to grow their own food, and to that could be amazing, I think, for
So
us.
are you saying Botswanans are not actively
we,
involved in farming?
they are, but not so many.
Okay.
But things are changing. Young people are trying to make farming modern,
Yes.
relevant,
Yeah.
interesting. These things, it's changing, but it's taking time.
Okay.
But as the situation stands, we still depend heavily
Yes.
on other countries for food,
I
and that's
see.
very, very worrisome.
Okay.
Yeah.
If someone would want to come and invest in farming in Botswana, what area of farming would you advise them to focus on?
Everything.
All right. So we are still speaking to Mr. Morafe, right?
Morafe.
Morafe.
Yeah.
And please remember to subscribe to Unique to Africa as we bring you news around the continent. We talk to entrepreneurs and we try to better the lives in terms of information, educating Africans and connecting them to the right sources where their businesses can strive. We were focused now on the subject of agriculture, what entrepreneurs willing to invest in farming can look forward to in Botswana. So yes, Mr. Morafe, my question was: should someone want to come to Botswana and farm, what area? Because you said a lot of the products that you guys consume in Botswana is being imported.
Yeah.
So if investors want to come to Botswana and farm, where would you direct them to first? What product?
We need everything. We
Okay.
need vegetables. We need expertise to interact with our environment.
Yes.
We do have Botswana weather is very, very elusive, difficult to deal with. You can imagine now, we it's so hot. So
Yeah.
how do the plants survive? And we don't even have enough water.
Okay.
If in some villages, access to water is still a challenge.
Okay.
So if you still don't have enough water, how can you possibly water your plants?
Yeah.
So we need expertise, people who can plant
Yeah.
using very, very little water, little resources, and come up with infrastructures that could enhance
Yeah.
productivity.
Mm.
But yeah, we need everything. We need everything. We need people who are good at planting flowers, and people who are good at doing vegetables, people who are good at doing spices, for instance,
Yeah.
herbs. I mean herbs.
Yeah. And is there land readily available for
I
investors?
think for an entrepreneur or an investor, there's
Yeah.
land available
Yeah. Because
as
I
long
spoke to
as
someone
the
who said the
mm,
government would actually allocate land for free if you're coming to invest, and also they give you a tax-free period.
but then again, it takes a long, long time. If you want to be given land by the government, you could wait for 10, 20 years for land. So it's best you bring in money, you
and
bring it
buy
and buy. That speeds up the
the process.
process of,
Okay.
yeah. But it's Botswana is a very friendly environment
Yeah.
for doing business.
Right.
And Botswana are willing to work with foreigners.
Yeah.
We don't have problems with the foreigner who comes and adds value to our country.
Right.
Hopefully, they also gain from the experiences of living in Botswana. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, tourism. Um, why should Africans, or one of the things that we promote is Africans traveling around Africa.
Yeah,
Africans don't travel around Africa, so they know very little about the continent.
that's true.
Yeah. So if an African is looking to come to Botswana for a wedding, for their honeymoon, for sightseeing, where would you advise them to be? Where should they go to?
A lot of people enjoy the north of Botswana, the places like
Okay.
Maung, the Okavangos, the Kasanes. That's where people
And wh-
usually
and
do
and what can they
tourism.
enjoy in Maun, for example?
The wildlife,
Okay.
the river,
Yeah.
um, but also the people.
The people.
Yeah, what I've noticed about places where uh, tourism plays a huge, huge part in the economy of uh, in its economy. The people usually are very friendly.
That is true.
When I lived in Maung and Kasane, the people are very very friendly. Maybe because they're used to dealing with foreign nationals.
Okay.
So they're naturally very, 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 very friendly
Warm,
people, very, very
welcoming.
warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's something that they inherit from their parents.
Okay.
It's that warmth that you inherit from your parents.
So it has actually transcended from one generation to the other.
Yes, because of necessity also.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. My father always said necessity was the mother of all inventions.
Yes.
I remember he quoted that with almost everything that he said.
Yes.
Okay, now, the one thing that we have to admit about Botswana,
Mhm.
Botswana has beautiful, beautiful women.
Sure, they are. They're very
Yeah, they
beautiful. Yeah.
have beautiful women. Now,
Yeah.
my question is, are they receptive to foreign men from African countries? Do you see a lot of intermarriages between Botswana women and men from outside Botswana? Is that something that is common? Do families frown upon this? Yeah, can you, if you do have experience in that area, you can talk
I
about
don't
it.
think we have a problem with interracial or inter whatever you call it
Yeah.
marriages.
Hmm.
Um, I think the only what I heard from the old people,
Yes.
one of the reasons why they fear, not fear, they are uneasy with, say, for instance, their daughter or their son marries a foreign national,
Yes.
is the fact that there's a possibility that they might move out of the country
Yes.
and they might not
Never
see
come
them
back.
and never come back and they might not see them. But
Yeah.
I think that's a genuine concern from a
Yes.
parent. I mean,
Right.
if you love your child, then you want to see them even after marriage. You want to
Yeah.
see them regularly.
Right.
So I think it's a genuine concern, but it's not hostility, it's not
Yes.
hate, it's
Yeah.
not frowning upon. It's just a genuine concern about you know having to be in that situation and dealing with a child who's very far from home.
Okay.
Mm,
So, well, Africans, you have heard it from Mr. Morafe.
yes,
Um, Botswana, not only is it a very welcoming country with very warm people that will open their hearts, their minds, and take you around Botswana, um, they are also very open to businesses. They're very welcoming to foreigners.
yes, definitely.
Yes, and their women are not shy of getting married to foreign nationals.
Yeah.
So I can also confirm that I have been well received in Botswana. I've not sensed any aspect of rejection, and this is what we should promote around the continent. This is what we should advocate for, because as we strive for a borderless Africa, there is a need for us to continue to promote the love, the unity that Africans, like someone mentioned yesterday, Ubuntu, have always had. Um, Please remember to subscribe. We do need your subscriptions to keep the channel growing. And we want to thank Mr. Morafe for giving us the time today. Is there any other, there's a last word that you would like to say to Africans that are tuned to the channel?
Yes, Africa, we're ready for you. Africa, we need you. Let's join forces and push the continent to the next level. There are lots of things that they can learn in Botswana. There are lots of things that we can learn from them. So nowadays it's all about collaboration. So
Right.
I think if we collaborate, I think we can reach very, very far.
Yeah. Together we can
Mm.
achieve more.
Together we can achieve more.
Thank you so much for your time, and
Thank you,
please have a
sir.
wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
You're
It was a
welcome.
pleasure.
Okay.